The rain fell in sheets that November evening, but Sarah Chen barely noticed as she stood frozen on the Brooklyn Bridge, her fingers gripping the cold metal railing. Below her, the East River churned dark and merciless, reflecting nothing but emptiness, the same emptiness that had consumed her life over the past 6 months. She'd lost everything, her mother to cancer, her job to corporate downsizing, her apartment to unpaid rent. At 28, she felt ancient, hollowed out, a shell of the woman who once believed in second chances and silver linings. The wind whipped her hair across her face as she leaned forward, just slightly testing the weight of her own despair. And that's when she heard it, a small, trembling voice cutting through the sound of rain and traffic. "Miss, are you okay?" Sarah turned to find a little girl, no more than 7, standing beneath a bright yellow umbrella that seemed absurdly cheerful against the gray backdrop of the storm. The child's brown eyes were wide with concern, her small hand reaching out tentatively toward Sarah's sleeve. Behind her, rushing forward with panic etched across her face, came a woman in her 30s, clearly the girl's mother. "Lily, don't—" The woman stopped short, taking in the scene with instant understanding. Her expression shifted from alarm to something softer, something knowing. "I'm so sorry," she said to Sarah, though her voice held no impatience, only a gentle warmth that felt foreign in this city of rushing strangers. "My daughter has a habit of noticing when people need help." Sarah found herself unable to speak, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. The little girl, Lily, tilted her head, studying Sarah with the kind of unfiltered compassion that only children possess before the world teaches them to look away from pain. "You look how I felt when my goldfish died," Lily said solemnly. "Really, really sad. My mom says when you're that sad, you shouldn't be alone." The mother, introducing herself as Maria, didn't ask intrusive questions or offer empty platitudes. Instead, she simply said, "There's a diner 2 blocks from here. Would you like to get out of this rain? We were heading there anyway, and Lily's been wanting to share her chocolate. Chip pancakes with someone? New." It wasn't a rescue attempt, disguised as pity. It was an invitation, simple and sincere from one human to another. Sarah didn't know what made her say yes. Perhaps it was the exhaustion of carrying her grief alone. Or maybe it was the way Lily's small hand had slipped into hers so naturally, as if Sarah was someone worth holding on to. They walked together through the downpour, an unlikely trio, until the warm glow of the Starlight Diner welcomed them inside. Over coffee that Sarah didn't remember ordering and pancakes that Lily insisted on dividing into 3 equal portions, the story spilled out. Not all at once, Maria was too perceptive to push, but in fragments that gradually formed a picture of loss and loneliness. Maria listened without judgment, occasionally squeezing Sarah's hand across the worn Formica table. Lily, meanwhile, drew elaborate crayon pictures on paper placemats, creating what she called happy flowers for when you need them. "3 months ago, I was where you are," Maria said quietly, when Lily had momentarily distracted herself with a jukebox selection. Not on that bridge, but in a dark place. "Single mom, abusive ex-husband, barely making rent on a job that paid minimum wage. I thought about ending it more times than I can count." She paused, watching her daughter dance to an old Motown song. "Then one day, a stranger bought our groceries when my card declined. Didn't make a big deal of it, didn't want thanks. Just paid and walked away. It was maybe $60. But it was also a reminder that there's still kindness in the world, still reasons to stay." Sarah felt something crack open in her chest, not breaking, but opening, like a window after a long winter. "How did you go from that to this?" She gestured at Maria, who seemed to radiate a strength that Sarah couldn't imagine possessing. "I decided to become the person I needed when I was drowning," Maria said simply. "Started small, volunteering at a soup kitchen on weekends, joining a support group for single parents. Every act of kindness I gave out came back to me tenfold. Not in things, but in purpose, in connection, in reasons to wake up the next morning." The conversation stretched into hours. Other diners came and went, but their corner booth became a sanctuary. Maria shared how she'd gone back to school online, how she was training to become a counselor. Lily showed Sarah her collection of kindness, rocks, painted stones she left, around the neighborhood with uplifting messages. Sarah found herself laughing. For the first time in Months when Lily insisted on teaching her the proper way to make a wish on spilled salt. As the rain finally subsided and the diner began preparing to close, Maria wrote her phone number on one of Lily's drawings, a rainbow with the words, "You are not alone," spelled out in shaky letters. "Call me," she said. "Tomorrow, next week, 3 in the morning when the darkness feels too heavy. I mean it. You're not alone anymore." Sarah clutched the paper like a lifeline. "I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me," Maria replied, helping Lily into her jacket. "Just promise me something. When you're through this, and you will get through this, find someone else who's standing on their own bridge. Be their Lily, be their reminder that there's still good in this world worth staying for." The days that followed weren't magically easier. Sarah still woke to an empty apartment, still faced the crushing weight of unemployment and grief. But she also had Maria's number in her phone, and she used it. They met for coffee twice a week, then 3 times. Maria connected her with a grief support group, helped her apply for jobs, introduced her to a network of women who'd survived their own darkest hours. 6 weeks later, Sarah found herself volunteering at the same soup kitchen where Maria had started her journey back to light. She served meals to people who wore the same hollow expression she'd seen in her own mirror, and she made it a point to look each one in the eye, to see them, to remind them through that simple acknowledgement that they mattered. 3 months later, she landed a job at a nonprofit helping formerly homeless individuals find housing. It paid less than her previous position, but it filled something in her that money never could. She thought of Maria's words often. "Purpose is the antidote to despair." It was a cold March evening, nearly 4 months after that night on the bridge, when Sarah found herself walking past the same stretch of railing where she'd once stood ready to let go. She stopped, not from temptation but from remembrance. The river below reflected the city lights now, sparkling and alive. She thought of Lily's small hand in hers, of Maria's unwavering kindness, of all the tiny moments of human connection that had woven together to create a net strong enough to catch her fall. She pulled out her phone and texted Maria, "I just walked past the bridge." But this time I kept walking. "Thank you for giving me reasons to keep walking." The response came quickly. "You gave yourself reasons. I just held up a mirror so you could see them." "Proud of you!" "Lily wants to know if you're coming to her birthday party next weekend. She's been making you a special kindness rock." Sarah smiled, tears forming. But these were different tears, the kind that cleansed rather than drowned. She typed back, "I wouldn't miss it for the world." As she continued down the sidewalk, she noticed a young woman sitting alone on a bench, head in her hands, shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. Sarah hesitated for only a moment before approaching, remembering her promise. She sat down, leaving a respectful distance, and waited. After a moment, the woman looked up, startled and embarrassed. "I'm sorry," Sarah said gently. "I don't mean to intrude, but you look how I felt 4 months ago. Really, really sad. And someone once told me that when you're that sad, you shouldn't be alone." She smiled softly. "There's a diner 2 blocks from here. Would you like to get out of this cold?" "My treat." The woman stared at her, uncertainty and hope warring in her expression. Finally, she nodded, and Sarah offered her hand. As they walked together toward the warm glow of the Starlight Diner, Sarah understood what Maria had known all along. We save ourselves by saving each other, one small act of kindness at a time, building bridges across the darkest waters until we all find our way home.